Hey, boys and girls. Do you know, just before I came in here today, I just having a shave. Because as you know, I do try to look my best. Okay, I was just having a shave before I came into the studio today, and I noticed once. Oh, I've just knocked my. Oh, sorry, just a minute. Just knocked the microphone with me hand. It's a little bit low down, the microphone today. It's a bit. To be honest, it's right next to my desk. Okay, and it's in front of all my bits of paper and emails and things like that. I'm just knocked that. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, just in the bathroom having a shave before I came up to have a chat to you today, and I noticed once again there are small hairs growing out of my ears. What's all that about, eh? It's like fur. It's almost like I've got cat fur growing out my ears, and I'm wondering if there's any truth in that saying that we do grow to look like our pets. What do you think? What sort of pet have you got? Huh? Go and have a look at yourself in the mirror. Are you starting to look a little bit like Candy the cat, or Benny the budgerigar, or maybe Goldie the goldfish? Are you looking like your pets? That's the question. Have you a little Chihuahua dog? Or maybe you don't look like your pets, but possibly your personality is taking on your pet. Or is taking after your pet's personality, perhaps. Have you got one of those? I tell you what, lads, how's your wife, okay? Turn it down a minute. You don't want her to hear this, okay? Shh. Turn it down. Don't let her hear this, for Christ's sake. We'll all get in trouble. But, lads, has your wife got one of those small, yappy dogs like a Chihuahua or a Scottish Terrier or Yorkshire Terrier all the time? Every time it goes past someone. Has your wife or girlfriend perhaps got one of those? And do you find that actually, when you're out with your wife, girlfriend, do you find that sometimes she starts and you're thinking you're starting to sound just like your pet dog? Anyway, so I'm looking at these hairs in my ear. I suppose I'm going to have to get the eMac out, because when I did an ex of mine years ago, it must be about 5 years ago, he noticed. He was the first person to notice it, of course. Isn't it funny how exes always notice bad things about you? I suppose they don't mean it in a detrimental way. They want to help you. They want to help you to try and find someone else. Unfortunately, I never have. But they do. They do. I think they're trying to help you find someone else. And he mentions these hairs in my ears. I said, oh, what do I do with those? And he went straight down the chemist and bought a tube of iMac, which here in the UK, I don't know what sort of brand names you have wherever you are, but iMac is like a hair remover. Now, mostly, I believe, women use it to remove hairs from their legs. Okay? Now, I have a feeling, I shouldn't really tell you this. You know James Dean, presenter of the matinee show.co.uk, I do believe he does do his legs with iMac. I'm not sure about that. I think he does. You might be worth dropping him an email. Remember, it's thematineeshow.co.uk or matinee. Well, I can never remember. I did write them all down, all these different addresses, but I think it's matineeshow.co.uk or thematineeshow.co.uk. Download as audio on demand. Just drop him a little email and says, a little bird tells us that you iMac your legs. Is that true? I'm not sure if it does. I have a feeling Joe from AmericanTalkUSA.com, another podcast, I'm not sure if he iMacs his legs. I wouldn't have thought so, because Joe is a real man. Joe is indeed a real man, boys and girls. I don't know about Amy, his wife. Does Amy iMac her legs, Joe? Can you get her close? It's all right. You can turn it back up now. Okay. Can you get? I got you. Turn it up, and I'll call her. Have you turned it up, Joe? Amy, it's Chris. Yes, from UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Yes. Can you tell us if you imac your legs or not? We're just wondering, you know, do you have that hair removal cream that you put on your legs? And, and do you imac your legs? And what about under the armpits? Huh? Because here in the UK, can you hear me all right? What's she doing down there? Is she in the kitchen? Oh, that's very good, Joe. Yeah, send her down to cook the dinner. That's it. That's it. Do you do your arms as well, underneath your arms? Because a lot of the girls in the UK, they don't have hairs under their arms here. Thanks, Amy. If you could just write in and let us know if you do your legs or not, okay? And Ross P, of course. Ross P. From Ross P. What was it? RossPatzel.co.uk. It's another podcaster. Do you think I don't know. I can't believe he emacs his legs at all. No, I just imagine. I don't. Well, let alone emac his legs. I don't think he changes his clothes. He is a bit of a slob. I've come to that opinion. Who seems to prefer to spend most of his time down a pub. Ross, you don't even need to answer. But what about your girlfriend? Does she put the cream on her legs? And Ross, how did your move go on Friday? Ross has now moved into his very first house. Well done, Ross. Well done, my friend. Okay, it's just so nice to be on the property ladder. Well done, Ross. Please write in and tell us all about it. Okay. Oh, I know you're going to tell me. Oh, listen to my podcast, and I'll. Yeah, but some of mine don't listen to yours. You know, I hate to tell you this, dear. You may have stolen one or two friends and listeners and viewers and things like that, but they don't all come to you, dear. What? Does your girlfriend imac her legs? Tell me. The email address to the show, and I haven't introduced myself. My name's Chris Reardon. This is United Kingdom Talk, our 3 times a week talk show. You can contact the show anytime. The email address is chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Podcasting via radio, via satellite. Podcasting, I mean, it's really taken off that, hasn't it? I think this is the way to go. Podcasting, and it's just so easy, certainly now in the car. I'm afraid to say that most of the talk stuff on radio here in the UK that happens to be on while I'm in the car. So that's not all day long. There's some good stuff on different talk stations here in the UK. Although, of course, we don't have nearly in as many talk stations as indeed you have in America or indeed Australia. I gather in Australia, talk radio is the predominant format there. And there was lots and lots of talk stations. All we have in the UK is very few. For example, no, I don't think anywhere has more than 2 talk stations. Certainly in London we have 2. I think up in, is it Edinburgh or Glasgow? I think there's 2 up there. And possibly in Manchester, see, we have 1 national talk station. That's it. And a couple, hardly any at all. Just a few small talk stations. 1 in London, I think there's 1 in Manchester, 1 in Glasgow, and possibly Northern Ireland. And I think that's it. So there's not enough for people such as myself to choose from. And I do find myself now 1 day a week downloading all sorts of podcasts. And I was talking to my friend Sean, who actually used to work on talk radio here in the UK. I'm talking to him, and he was telling me he does exactly the same as me. We choose our podcasts and we download them on our little MP3 player. Which joy, if I can tell you, an MP3 player. It's like a tape player, my darling. Okay, it's like a small version of a tape player that holds a lot more. Shall we say programs? Okay, you can get hundreds of programs on one little MP3 player. All right. And I do find myself downloading an awful lot on there each week. I tend to do it on a Monday. Monday afternoon, I plug my thing in, download everything in there, and they're all my programmes for the week. And I really do believe podcasting is the way to go. It's chipping away at the big boys. And not only that, another piece of very interesting technical news. Here in the UK, they've started rolling out I think it's Wi-Fi Max or WiMax. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Wi-Fi. Now, that is, I'm explaining it to Joy, who is in Acton. If you're a new listener or viewer to the programme, let me just tell you. Joy is a slightly older lady, 82, who lives in Acton. Regular listener to the show, and sometimes with all these new technical bits and pieces, she hasn't got a bleeding clue what I'm talking about. So I do try and explain them, especially for Joy. Don't know, my darling, eh? Come and give us a good kiss. Come and give us a good kiss. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah. So Joy. Where was I then? Where were we going then? We're talking about MP3 players. Oh yes, Wi-Fi. It's a bit, you know, like a mobile phone, Joy. Well, WiMax would be like the internet version, sort of a mobile phone. So hopefully one will be able to use the internet anyway. We can now to a point, but it's going to get better. It's all very Space 1999. Anyone ever watch that? I was watching that the other night on one of the rerun channels. My God, it's dated. Although I did always fancy wearing a pair of those tight, shiny leggings that the woman wore with the purple hair. Can't think what her name was now. Yeah, so, and also with this Wi-Fi thing, I gather, I think it was Joe from AmericanTalkUSA.com. And of course, it's very Oh, by the way, Joe, does she wax her legs? Maybe Brenda, you're a nutritional expert. Brenda, do you wax your legs, my love? One of the car manufacturers is actually going to put WiMax radios in cars, which is just fantastic. And this whole I've just dropped my pen on the floor. This whole radio thing is changing before our eyes. Drop my pen, sorry. We also have a thing here in the UK called DAB radio, okay? Now, they've been pushing this now for 10 years. And we've had this discussion before, and it's just not really taken off. They pretend that it has, okay? Telling us that I don't know, that on the last time I heard this, which was quite a number of months ago, they told us there were 6 million DAB radio sets now in use here in the UK. Which sounds a lot, until you realise there are 100 million FM sets. And I just think it's a technology that nobody wanted, that was pushed onto us. We didn't want it. And it's not taken off. And I just wonder if this WiMax thing, and if they start bringing out the radios, I think that's got a much better chance of wearing, because there's of working, because there's so much selection out there. Quite apart from this particular programme, there are this particular programme, United Kingdom Talk, as well as being on the podcast, is carried by quite a few internet stations and a satellite one. There are other programmes, other people, similar to myself, like one-man band, okay, who make their shows, some of them talk shows, like Ross P's, some of them music and talk shows. One that comes to mind is Pandora. I don't know if you've ever heard Pandora and her rock box. She plays rock music. Very, very popular. They make the programme and offer it to lots of little stations who play it out. And there is so much diversity and variety on the internet, and indeed on internet radio stations, that I just think once this WiMax radio thing comes along, you won't have a choice of 10 stations, 20, 30, 40 or 50. You will have a choice of thousands and thousands of radio stations, some small, some big, all over the world. Some very good and some really bad. But nevertheless, you will have the choice of listening to any of those. And why would anyone not want a WiMAX radio when you've got choice like that? You could have the... there's so many stations on the internet. You've got stations preaching gospel, religious. I'm sure there are stations on there talking about Buddhism. There are stations playing ballroom music day and night. There are stations playing Gregorian chants all the time. There is everything on the internet. And with a WiMAX radio, when they come out, I actually don't know if they're out already. Well, there must be if there's an American car manufacturer putting them in cars. But certainly here in the UK, the transmitter network for those WiMAX isn't that big yet. You know, they will start off the same as they did with the mobile phones. They will start off in a sort of area where there are a lot of people and then slowly expand, I would guess. And I just think that will be the death of DAB. I could be wrong, but why would you want to just restrict yourself? There's an awful lot of those stations recently gone off, stations that came out especially for DAB, and this was the hard push when they first put DAB out. Oh, we're going to have all this different variety. Well, it just didn't happen. Well, it did to a point. I think. But now a lot of these stations, we can't make money. Surprise, surprise, dear. The thing is with Wi-Fi stations or WiMAX stations or internet stations, the thing is with internet stations, a lot, or I would go as far as saying most internet stations do not make money. Some do, most don't. And there's so much difference and variety in the way they're run. Some of them are run by big organisations. The BBC stream their radio stations on the internet. But so does little Jack down the road, 15 years old, set up his own little radio station on the internet. You see the diversity there and everything in between. And I just think that will happen with WiMAX radios. Can't wait to get one of those when they come out. Now, where were we? Oh, we're on the subject of the hair in the ear. Blimey, we went off that a bit, didn't we? So just before I came in here, I noticed the hair's coming out my ears. So I think I'm going to have to get, what I do usually is get the iMac. I put it on a little cotton wool bud. And then I very, very carefully put it just around, just a touch on the... What is that? Not the lobe of the ear. What's that? What's the bit in the middle? What's that bit in the middle? You know, that bit that sticks out? That's where the hairs are growing, on that bit there. So I just gently put it on the... just a tiny, tiny bit on the inside, and I'm careful. And I leave it for a few minutes. And then once again, I get a bit of toilet paper, and I wipe it out, and then I give my ear... being very careful not to get it on the inner ear, a bit of a rinse out there, and that gets rid of all the hairs. What happens to the hairs, I wonder? They must just dissolve, I suppose. That stuff must be pretty dangerous if you accidentally get it in there, wouldn't it? So anyway, I've been to the hairdressers before. And while they've been cutting my hair, sometimes she gets the bzzz thing. What is that? Bzzz, you know, that bzzz, the trimmer thing, and she does my ears with that. Oh, actually, I've got a trimmer. Maybe I could do it with that. It's supposed to be trim for your beard and that. Can you suggest anything, ladies? I know you'll know about these things. In fact, I won't do my ears today, I've decided. I shall wait to see if you send in any advice for ear hair removal. Please, on the email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, while we're chatting away about Joe from AmericanTalkUSA.com, it is his birthday today. Well, I hope it's today. For you? Tuesday, the 18th of November. Is it Tuesday for you? It might be another day for you. I don't know. Today for me is Tuesday, the 18th of November. So, Joe, we don't know how old you are. I can't remember. Are you older or the same age as me? I think you're around about the same age as me, aren't you? Are you ready, boys and girls? All the family, get round and sing to Joe. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Joe. Happy birthday to you. We love it. Happy birthday, Joe. Happy birthday, Joe. And Joe, I didn't know, but your birthday, you actually celebrate an anniversary as one of my anniversaries. Not so happy, my one. Today, the Tuesday, the 18th of November, is the 8th anniversary of my mum disappearing from this planet and going upstairs. So happy 8th anniversary to my mum. Hope you're very happy up there with Dad. And I dedicate this entire programme today in memory of my mum. So there we are. And happy birthday, Joe. Hope you get some nice little cards and little trinkets and bits and pieces. Some of you may notice now that, especially those of you who have told me about birthdays in the past, that you don't even have to remind me now. This is because when I've remembered, what I've done is put your birthdays into a little program on the internet called, what is it? Is it Birthday? Oh my word, I can't remember it now. I think it's Birthday Calendar. Birthday Alarm, that's it. birthdayalarm.com, or it might be .co.uk, and basically you just put someone's birthday into that, and whenever the birthday's about to come up, you get an email telling you. And I have got a few in there, but if I may not have yours. This is the thing. If you would like me to put your birthday into my birthdayalarm.com thing, okay, please send in details of your birthday, and then whenever it comes up, it will already... You won't even need to write in, dear. It's already done. You see, how fantastic. I think of you all the time. Just tell me when your birthday is, and if you want to, how old you are. You don't have to tell me how old you are, and your full name and where you are, okay, where you are in the world. Be a bit specific. Don't just say, for example, Spain. Say Madrid in Spain. I don't need full addresses, of course. If you want to do that, usual email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Okay, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Talking of birthdays and all nice things, my first Christmas card has arrived. Can you see that? Season's greetings. And it's an interesting card. It's a bit posh. And it's got a smell on it. A rather nice smell. And being a posh card... Now, regular listeners to the show, who do you think would send me a posh card? Okay? Yes, you're right. It's Wayne the Butler. And he always writes posh as well. Dear Chris, wishing you a very happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year. All my love from Wayne. So that's from Wayne the Butler. Very, very nice. It's it almost looks like someone's wallpaper. And he was telling me on the phone, Wayne the Butler, that he had bought some new Christmas cards. And they were rather expensive, and he's only sending them to people, to very close friends. And I did say to him, don't expect to get one from me. I don't do Christmas cards. I don't do Christmas cards or postcards. I can't be bothered to. You just sit there writing endless ones. And Wayne, of course, he said to me, well, I don't send everyone one. I only send a select few. Well, the trouble with that is... You send them out, and there's always someone who would then say to you, well, am I not one of the select ones? So best not to bother at all. But thank you anyway, Wayne. It's very nice of you. I'm sure he's made this out of some old wallpaper, you know. He told me that he bought, this was like a box of, special cards, a box of 10 or something like that. But I'm looking at it. I have definitely seen this as people's wallpaper. It's a lovely, like a velvety feel to the card. And it's like, let me just describe if you're listening. It's like black. It's like black I don't know what it is, like felt stuff. Black felt stuff with like little shapes around it. And also there's a couple of little sequins as well, which I quite like. The sequins actually pushed themselves through the envelope when it came through the door. So there we are. Thank you very much for that, Wayne, and the Christmas cards. If you want to send in, I know, arc at me. I've just said to you, I never send Christmas cards. I will give you the address though, because I know like people sometimes, they do like to write in instead of email, and you might want to write it in a card. Please, I'm not asking for cards. I wouldn't do that, but sometimes people want to, and it is very nice to receive a card. It is nice, and if you want to send a card in, are you ready for the address? You're not, are you? I didn't think so. Go and get a pen, and I shall give you the address in a moment. Right, let me tell you a little bit more about my recent visit to my sisters, OK? We've done the Saturday. Now, Monday, I was very honoured, and my older nephew, Gary, and his girlfriend, Stacey, took me shopping, which was very, very nice indeed. And on the way there, we actually left quite late. Well, I say late, it was about 11:30 in the morning. So they took me shopping. They live in Woodhall Spa in Lincolnshire, and they actually live in my sister's house. And Woodhall Spa, nice although it is, lovely place and that, a bit of a sleepy village, I would say. Beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful place there. But it's in the middle of nowhere. They do have a supermarket. They do have some shops, a nice little row of shops, but there's no big supermarket there. So if you want to go to a supermarket, you have to go in, jump in the car, and I would say it's a good 25, 35-minute journey to the nearest large supermarket. Not that I was going to a supermarket, but I was being taken to Lincoln by my dear nephew, who's got I told you about his new car. I think it's was it Peugeot 207? I think it's a 207. I'm not sure what it is now. Hang on a minute. Let me just find out what it is. I like to have all the information to hand. Do you see what I mean? I'll tell you in a minute. I don't know if he's on the phone or not now. We won't put them on today because my sister will probably answer. And she gets a bit funny talking on the phone on the radio. Hello? Who is it? Oh, hi, Doreen. Here, what car has Gary got? Do you know, it's a Peugeot. What is it? What's the number? Is there no one in? Oh, yeah, ask her quickly then. Yeah. I'll find out what sort of car it is. I know you're interested to know, aren't you? Just a minute now. I'm just on the phone, all right? Oh, you want to hear her screaming up the stairs? Stacey! This is Doreen. This is Martin, my sister's husband's mother. Lovely lady she is. Oh, I'll be here all day, dear. Don't worry about us. We've just a few million people with us. Who is it? Is she still there? Hello? Is that Stacey? Oh, hello, Stacey. What car has Gary got? I can't remember now. Was it a Peugeot what? A 307. Oh, OK. I couldn't remember. What colour is it? Blue? Burnt orange. Burnt orange. That's the same sort of car that you tend to get when it's been rusty and you do it. Is that like the undercoat, the burnt orange, or is that the actual colour? I've got to go, darling. See you later. Thanks, my love. Bye-bye, love. There we are. It's a Peugeot 307. Was it a 307 she said then? Oh, I can't remember now. But that's the car he's got. So, we got in a car and he's driving down these small country lanes in Lincolnshire. And I don't know what it is, but I mean, obviously his girlfriend sat in the front with him and I sat in the back. I don't know what it is, but I felt very, very safe in the car as driven by my nephew. Now, why is that? You know, you'd think a young 24-year-old lad with his girlfriend in the front, old Uncle Chris in the back. But I felt completely safe. Completely safe. Unlike whenever I get in the car with my sister. She has not got patience. She's only got to be sort of parking somewhere, and if some poor old dear is a little bit slow moving her car out of the way, oh come on, I haven't got time for this. and she goes too fast. I've told my sister time and time again, you drive too fast down those country lanes. Well, I have to say, not just her. I mean, I've driven down these roads before, and I do tend to be very careful. And these are not wide roads. I know those of you in America are used to great big wide roads, and even the freeways there, the lanes on the freeways or motorways do seem to be a lot wider than the ones we have here in the UK. These little roads up in the north in Lincolnshire are one lane, or two lanes, one each way. And on men, and it's not just cars that come down these little roads. You want to see the size of the juggernauts coming almost straight towards you. I get very, very nervous on those roads. Some people would say I'm not used to it. But my sister just drives too fast, and always too fast round corners. I've told her time and time again. She's already got 3 points, I believe, on the licence, wasn't it, dear? You got snapped by a camera a couple of years ago. Well, you slow down, dear. Slow down. And I do not feel safe with her in the car. I have to say it, dear. I'm sorry. With my nephew, safe as houses. Was he just driving like that because old Uncle Chris was? I'd never thought I'd ever call myself that. Old Uncle Chris. Oh, that's terrible, isn't it? Old Uncle Chris. It's got quite a nice ring to it, hasn't it? Ross P from the Ross Patzelt radio show. He says, I am the grandfather of podcasting. God almighty, I haven't been around that long. But I think I was in it right at the beginning. I just knew this whole podcasting thing would start to work for all sorts of people. There's plenty of people that wouldn't dream of watching this load of rubbish or listening to this load of rubbish that I'm making now, but they may listen to something else. This whole podcasting thing is on a roll now, I tell you. So, as I say, I feel safe in the car with him. Now, on our way there, I said, what time do you want dinner? She said, I don't mind. She says, I said to Gary, are you hungry now? Because I don't think we had breakfast that morning. He says, yeah, we'll have dinner now. So they took us to a place, I can't remember the name of it now. The Mill... Was it the Mill House or something? Mill, M-I-L-L. The Mill House or something like that it was. And it was like a restaurant type place. Not on the main high street of anywhere. It was like kind of in the middle of nowhere. You know the sort of place, right? So we went in there. Now, this would have been around about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And as we drove in, I noticed, first thing I noticed, and I do notice this sort of thing. The lights were on outside the restaurant. And now this sort of thing really annoys me because it is such a blooming waste of electricity and indeed the Earth's resources. Okay? Whenever you hear me chatting away often about not putting the heating on or turning the lights off everywhere in the house, yes, it is to save money, but actually I am concerned about us using all the oil and all the gas and all the coal, and what we're going to do then. All right, not tomorrow, but in 100 years' time for our children's children. What are they going to do? And the pollution and all that. It does concern me. So when I go somewhere and I see lights on, I've turned lights off in people's houses before. And they go, oh, who turned the light off? And I'm like, well, me. If the best thing to, if you do invite me round, take all your light bulbs off before I come round, all right? So we've driven in this place, all the lights on outside, and we've gone in and sat down and ordered our food. What did I have? I think I had a steak and owl pie and some mashed potatoes and peas. So this one comes over, doesn't she? Quite pleasant lady. takes the order. Would you like any drinks? Oh, no, we don't want to. We want to eat. Why do they always do that? They're desperate to sell you drinks, aren't they? Desperate to sell drink. They come over. Would you like to order any drink? No, we're ready to order dinner, please. Oh, shall I get you some drinks while you're waiting? No. Oh, yeah, of course we had drinks. I think Gary had a Coca-Cola. Good lad, not drinking and driving. That's so dangerous, that. I don't know why it is that people who drink think they can drive. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I ordered a cup of tea and I ordered the food. I think Gary had fish and chips. I can't remember now. They both had fish and chips or something like that. Anyway, so off went this waitress, quite a nice lady. And back she came, quick as a flash, with all the drinks, you know. Because, of course, they hope that you're going to finish those drinks before the dinner gets there, so that then you order some more drinks, isn't it? That's what all that's about. I'm not stupid, dear. I know how it all works. You won't get another penny out of me, I'm telling you now, my love. God's sake. So she comes over with all these drinks. There's me with my pot of tea. Oh, yes, dear. I have to have a pot of tea. Fortunately, in this instant, they knew how to make tea. Do you remember the incident back in June where I went somewhere, again with my sister's family when I was up north there? And I ordered a cup of tea, and this woman, clearly no idea, a woman from the north of the UK, of all places, brought me over a cup of hot water and a tea bag. And that isn't how you make tea. Now, I understand if you're in the States or in probably in any European country except Ireland and the United Kingdom, I'm fully aware that when you order a cup of tea, they will bring you over a cup of water and a tea bag. With the tea bag not in the water. That is not how you make tea, and we've done this about 5 times now. You make tea by putting the tea bag in the cup and pouring on boiling water. The water must be boiling at the time, or the flavour does not flood out, okay? Anyway, in this case, the tea was brought to me in a little silver pot. Oh, it was all camped here. It was brought to me in a little silver pot, and a cup and a little thing of milk and what have you. And that was it. So I started pouring the tea. I said, "Excuse me," and she said, "Yes, dear." Well, she didn't say dear. I'm the only one who says dear. You can say dear too if you want, if you're a viewer or a listener to this programme. I don't mind, but dear, that's mine, okay, dear? You can say dear. When you come to the UK, if you ever come to the UK, if you're abroad, you come to the UK, it's always a good idea to finish every sentence with the word dear. Example, in McDonald's. "Can I have a Big Mac and 2 fries, please, dear?" Okay? Getting on a bus. "Oh, 1.5 one for the child, please, dear." Okay? Going to a cinema. 2 tickets for James Bond, dear, please. All right? Always finish a sentence with dear. You'll find it'll get you a lot of places. Oh, talking of James Bond, I think I mentioned to you in the last show or the one before that I mean, the film was okay, but completely humorless. And up to that point, all I'd seen everywhere was very good reviews of the film. Since then, I've seen a review in one of the newspapers, and a guy who recently joined one of the London talk station talking about it, and they said the same as me. The film is humourless. It is not funny. I like James Bond films because they made me laugh. And another thing, which I didn't actually tell you this in the last show because I felt a bit stupid saying it. Right? But now that someone else is saying it, I feel I can tell you that watching that film, I didn't have a clue what was going on. It was almost like watching one of the later episodes of The X-Files. I don't know if you ever watched that. But as the series went on, it became more and more difficult to understand what the hell was going on in these programmes. And I found the recent Quantum of Solace, Solstice, or whatever it is, that stupid title. I found it very difficult to understand what the hell was going on in that programme. And in fact, I will now say to you, out of all the James Bond films I've seen them all, that was the worst one. The most recent one. I think the guy playing him... Oh, what was it? What's it? I don't even know his name. Can't even remember his name now. The guy playing him is very good looking, but he's not the right bloke for the job. It's not funny, and it's almost too hard. Did anyone else find that? Can't. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name at the moment. It's not Timothy, is it? No, that's the one before, isn't it? Or two before. Not Pierce Brosnan. He was good. Pierce Brosnan. My favourite James Bonds, Pierce Brosnan, and my favourite of all time, Roger Moore. Okay? This guy is too hard. It's not working for me at all. Yeah, I'll definitely go and see the next one, whenever that is. But with the film I just saw, it wasn't funny at all anywhere. I don't think there was a single bit in there that made me chuckle. I mean, you don't sit there doing a James Bond film laughing your head off, like that. It's not like that. On the other hand, you do like to have a chuckle through little funny bits and pieces go through it. And there was none. Not only that, it was difficult to understand what was going on. Special effects, fantastic. Explosions, great. All that. But for me, it wasn't a bad film, but it was the worst James Bond film that I've seen out of all of them. Did nothing for me at all. Okay? Right. Back to this. So I called this lady back over again. I said, "Excuse me, do you know the lights are on outside?" And do you know what she said? "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's not my bill." And I looked at her. "Oh, well, that's all you had to say to me, dear." I looked at her. I said, "That's not the point." I said, "What about all the electricity that's using?" She said, and she could see she had ruffled my feathers. My feathers had been ruffled, boys and girls, ruffled. Although I do quite like that. You know, when you're a little boy, men, you will understand this. When you're a little boy, sometimes people come up to you and rub you on the head. "All right, lad," like that, don't they? They rub your hair. Why doesn't anyone do that to me anymore? Is it because I'm old Uncle Chris? Old Uncle Chris. So someone else came over and she says, "Oh, I gather you were complaining about the lights outside." I said, "Well, yeah." I said, that you got two big lights on there. That's got to be 1,000 watts of electricity that are just on. I said, "That's a terrible waste." And she could see I was concerned. Terrible. She said, "Oh, I'm dreadfully sorry. I gather they're on a timer switch. That's gone wrong and we don't know how to turn them off." And it was kind of left like that, really. Which is, I think it's dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. I mean, you see it driving through London all the time. Oh, excuse me. Oh, did you hear that? Bit of air came up out of my mouth. I do apologise. It's all right, Matty. You don't need to write in and tell me again. All right, dear? I know it happened. People write in and say, "Oh, do you realise you suddenly burped on air?" Who cares? This is a human programme, dear, with all its human faults. And believe me, I'm the biggest fault you're ever likely to bump into. So she went off, and I thought, I think I really ought to write a letter in about that. I hate that, wasting electricity like that. So our meals came, and they were okay. It was all right, nothing special. Just, had my pie and mash and whatever they had. And we didn't have pudding because we were rather stuffed after that. And then we left. We went to one of those cash and carry places, warehouse. I can't think it was JTF's. I think it was. I had a look round there. I didn't actually buy an awful lot. Hang on, I wrote down what I bought there. I bought. I meant to bring it up to show you. I bought a pet duvet. Yes, a little pet duvet for one of my cats, the one who sleeps in the shed, and that's Tiny, the old one. I just bit my lip. And I also bought a pet bed for Katie. Now, she's the other one. Now, if you were watching or listening back in June, you will know that I bought Tiny a pet bed, but I never actually bought Katie one because she used to sleep on the seat. I was sort of up there, you know. I'm always having to hoover the seats because it gets covered in the one in the kitchen because it gets covered in pet hair. So I bought her a little pet bed as well. Not expensive. Not expensive at all. I think in this particular shop it was about £12. And I was really pleased with that because after we went there, we had to go to a big pet shop. They did like a very, very large pet shop. It's got everything in there, which was just down the road because Gary and Stacey, they've got tropical fish. Yeah, well, you've got one of the big tanks, all the beautiful colours of the tropical fish, and they had to get some fish food, which is that they were getting down there. And while I was in there, I thought I'll have a look at how much the pet beds are in there, and I found exactly the same one, and it was £25. So I was pleased I got a bargain. So that's what I bought from that other place: a little pet duvet, and a pet bed for Katie, which she sleeps in instantly. The moment I got home and put it down on the floor, she jumped in it. Oh, she loves her new bed. She does. Although cats are quite happy sometimes with a cardboard box, aren't they? Huh? So, we did the fish food, and then what did we do after that? I think then we went home, and I bought a big thing of fabric softener from the cash and carry place, and some of those little smelly things. You know what you hang in the toilet, the liquid things, and that's it. So that was it. Went back home and had a little bit of a sleep. And at night, my nephew and his girlfriend were treating us to a fireworks display. How fantastic. He'd gone out and spent some money on fireworks and bits and pieces. And Stacey, she was doing all the food, which was really, really very, very nice indeed. We had, and it was actually a couple of weeks before she had rung me and said, "What food do you think we should do?" So I said, "Well, I think you just stick to hot dogs, burgers, and perhaps jacket potatoes." So I got up after a couple of hours sleep, around about 8 o'clock at night, and I went downstairs and she was already cooking. She'd got baked beans on. Oh, how marvellous. She'd got jacket potatoes in the oven. The butter was there. We got the burgers. We got the hot dogs. We got the onions, and we got some cheese as well. Oh, fantastic. And all this she laid all this out on the table. Nice to do. Isn't that nice, the pair of them, to do that for all of us? I think so. And Gary, of course, was outside with Tracy's boyfriend, who is Ben, and they were lighting the fireworks. And I was very pleased to see he had the, the taper thing, the proper thing for fireworks. He was lighting them with those. So that was very, very good. I was very pleased he was using that. And these fireworks were going off, and I was outside, and Ben and little Jimmy, my younger nephew. Where was Martin, the husband? Do you know, I think he was actually in the office working. I can't remember where Martin was, my sister's husband now, because I'm sure he wasn't there. I'm just trying to see in my mind. No, he wasn't. He wasn't there. I don't know where he was, actually. I think he was in the office doing some work. But then was my sister and my niece Tracy and Doreen, who is my sister's mother-in-law, and they were kind of sitting in the house where the glass door is to go between the house and the garden. And the three of them were sitting there with this door closed, and the three men. That's Oh, and Stacey was outside. Stacey, myself, Jimmy, Ben, and Gary. The men. The real men, and Stacey, of course. We were outside, and my sister and my niece Tracy and Doreen, they were sitting on the other side of the glass door with it firmly closed, sitting on 3 seats. Well, I'm sorry, dears, they looked like the 3 witches of Eastwick. They really did. And I could just see them in there plotting, casting spells on us all while we were letting these fireworks go off. Now, at this point in the show, I had wanted to play you a bit of audio that I actually recorded that night, talking to the family and hearing the fireworks go off and all that. And I actually done like a 15-minute segment on that. And I was very pleased with it when I did it. But foolishly, I deleted it from my little handheld recording unit before I got it back into the computer, and I can't believe how stupid I was to have done that, but nevertheless I did, so it's not here, I'm afraid. So I'm just so sorry about that. I really am sorry about that. I had a lovely piece of audio to play you from that little fireworks display my nephew did, but it's gone, and so I can't play it. So sorry about that. And that was the end of the night, really, and a most enjoyable night. Really well done for my older nephew and his girlfriend Stacey. Fantastic night. Okay, now there's a little bit more to tell you about my recent trip to my sister's, and that will be in the next show, okay? Meanwhile, we must move on to some emails. If you want to join in, don't forget that email address. Oh, hang on a minute. Did you want the postal address? I'll give you the postal address now, okay? Email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Here comes the postal address. It's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG 429ED, United Kingdom. Once again, it's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG 429ED, United Kingdom. And anything you want to send in, if you do want to send in Christmas cards anytime, then please feel free to do so. And what I'll do is I'll display them on the wall behind me. Always looking for things to put on the wall behind me. By the way, if you are a regular viewer to the show, you will notice the three little Buddhas I've moved from over there, because what kept happening, every time I moved the chair around, it would knock the little box on the wall that Suko kindly sent me last Christmas, the little thing, which is actually covered by the plant at the moment, actually, this little box here. They were on top of a box behind me, and every time I banged it with this, they all fell off, so I've put them on the shelf in front of me there now, okay? Right, oh my word, I'm nearly out of time. I've hardly done any emails as well. Hello to Carl in Yorkshire. We were talking about central heating, which I'm glad to say still is not on, okay? I've managed this year so far, or this winter so far, to only have turned it on once for 5 hours. And I'm going to allow myself that error. I said to you I had no intention of turning it on until the 15th of December, and we are well on our way of achieving that, okay? We may actually get there. These greedy utility companies are not going to get a penny out of me unless I can absolutely help it. Anyway, Carl writes, Hiya, you've been mentioning recently how I don't put my heating on until the middle of December. Well, I only mention it, Carl, because that's what you told me last year, dear. I remember you telling me. He says, well, that was when I was in my old place in Wakefield. The thing is about that was the system I had in would only work through the night. I couldn't put it on during the day at all. So you had the, I think, Economy 7 heating, I would guess, did you? However, since I moved here to Knaresborough, and seeing as this is a brand new property with a proper central heating system, I can actually put it on any time I want to. So my current system is to have to come on for 30 minutes in the morning, and if I want to, I'll top it up, but put it on for just 20 minutes or so at a time. I also have a decent collection of jumpers. Thank you, Carl. Very important, that decent collection of jumpers, Carl. That will be saving you a fortune, my friend. Yeah, mine's not on the timer at all. I mean, when I said it was on for 5 hours a few days ago, couple of weeks ago, when we had that very, very cold Wednesday, I was literally going out because I can push a button and it will come on for an hour and then go off. So I was going out there pushing it for an hour, and then when I felt cold again, I'd put it on for another hour. It was very, very cold that time. Thank you for that one, sir. And hello to Bryan Murphy. Nice to hear from you, Bryan. Bryan is someone that I worked with many years ago. He's a drag act, lives in New York. And he wrote, "Hi Chris, fun show," because he's just listened to one of the shows. He says, "But Ari, turning on the heat. This is a little discussion I have with my groom every winter for the past 15 years. He's been with the same person for 15 years. He said, it's cold, I'm cold. Put a jumper on. What the hell is a jumper? Brackets. This was in the beginning when I was first learning English. A sweater. I don't want to put a sweater on in the house. It should be warm indoors. When we are in our apartment in New York, it's hot in here. Open a window and let the heat out. No, turn the heat down. Then in the summer in New York, it's cold in here. Put on a sweater." It never ends. Ah, love and couples, eh? And the British and American comfort levels. LOL. Laugh out loud, yeah. You ever have guests on your show? Yes, sometimes, Bryan. But this is the thing. I've been to New York and it's been stifling hot. And it's just a bit mad when you go into these shops and you find yourself going in your bag for a jumper because it's so blooming cold in there in the middle of the summer. Thank you for that one, Bryan. And I didn't realise I've run right out of time. I think we might be doing an email catch-up programme on the next show, OK? I think we'll have to do that. Thank you, as always, for listening and watching the show today. There'll be another one very, very shortly. Don't forget the main United Kingdom Talk website, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, and the email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. See you on the next show. Bye-bye now.